Alright guys, so last boil. I did it. I pulled the plug. Um, feel good about it, I guess. Never want it to come to an end, but it needs to. But check out this sap coming in right now. I was still getting over a gallon per tap, or right at this last run. Most of the other guys in the area were a quart to a half gallon per tap. They're saying their sap's all super cloudy, nasty, and they're like 95% hard maples. I'm 95% soft maples, and this is what my sap looks like. And I truly believe it's because of my sanitation practices, my thinking out of the box, not being limited to how dad and granddad did stuff, that type of thing. I'm first generation, I'm a self-thinker, and I think it's paying off for me. Those check valve spiles, I'm going to say it again, proof's in the pudding here, guys. Some of those guys tapped even after we did. I was one of the earlier tappers around here. I don't know what else I'm sure it's still probably going to be off flavored, but I'm really anticipating finding out. I drained the whole evaporator, cleaned it all out, because there's an old timer by me that seems to think, you know, when you get hard freezes over a couple days like that, the trees can reset and the flavor can come back. I don't know if I really agree with that. We're going to find out. I think there's a certain point where that doesn't become true anymore. Earlier in the season, I would probably completely agree with him. But like I said, open-minded thinker, free thinker, I'm willing to listen. This guy's in his 70s. He's a 5th or 6th generation sugar maker. What do I know? I just always assume I don't know anything and give it a try if it makes sense. So, cleaned the evaporator out, washed all my tanks. You guys seen my sanitation practices that I'm doing, and we're starting from fresh. So we got about a total of 1,400 gallons from the run, and then now I turned on my pump this morning just like I said I was going to, and that's pumping from out back. Really nice clear stuff, and it's running pretty good. Actually, let's go take a look at that real quick while this is filling up here. So we'll see. I am triple filtering this stuff. I have a filter sock from the tanks that I at my out locations, and then it's getting filtered up there. There's a filter sock, and then I got another filter on the inside that's like one of the house filters filtering it. So let's see how she's running here. Not bad. Not bad. Nice and clear. My tank's a little dirty. I didn't power wash it last night, so this is just from yesterday, guys. Look how dirty the stuff. At the end of the season, you get this like sediment sand stuff, but that's just one day. You guys know I power wash it out after every time I empty it. Well, I didn't do that yesterday, and look at the difference. But the stuff coming out, crystal clear. And zero smell to it. Man, I don't know. You guys can see how... Maybe can, maybe can't. There's a very, very red hue on that woods. Yeah, you can see it there for the most part. We'll see. We will see. I'm really interested to see what the flavor of this stuff is. I think it's going to be metabolized. I think once those trees do what they're doing there, flower out and everything, I think it's pretty much over. So here, take a look at this, guys. That's what we're dealing with. So, well, we're letting this fill up. We're going to get ready to turn on here, and I'm going to try to video more of the process of evaporating today. When it's in season, it's just so hard to do, and you got 1,000 other things going on. So I'm going to try to slow down a little bit today, especially starting from scratch. So I'll kind of show you guys that process, and let's enjoy it here. This is it. Okay, so here's one thing that I just did. The front gets full, so this floats up. It still wants to push by a little bit on these, so I come and turn this valve off, and then what I do is I wait for it to get up here to 2 inches. I start off at 2 inches on everything, and then you can see in there. Then once it gets going and boiling and caught up, I'll actually shut down the back here for a second and watch it, let it get down to 1.5 inches, and then turn it back on. Because once it comes to a boil and things are ripping, everything's set. This float is set to keep the front pan at about 1.5 inches roughly. So when it gets boiling and all caught up and running, I make sure everything's turned on and this lever's on, everything's set up, and then it just keeps everything at 1.5 inches across. I'll run the back at 1.5 inches and run the front at 1.5 inches. I'm not brave enough to do 1 inch. I don't know. I mean, it'd probably be fine. I've never really had a close call. The only close call I'll have, and I'm going to call it a close call, is when you're starting from scratch like this. You know, you're kind of batching the whole thing to get that first draw, and I've gotten much better at switching the flow. So right now we'll have it coming in, going through here, going through these pans, goes out that back pan, and then this will be our draw off. It'll come through here. That's why we have this valve closed. So when we go to reverse draw, I will take whatever my draw off is. I'll take it, say it's 217. I'll take it to 214. I'll do it pretty heavy, and I'll have my draw off tank sitting here, but I'll take a pail and I'll take some of that heavier stuff off and put it in a pail and set it to the side. I'll get everything drawn down to like 214, so the whole pan is roughly the same. Again, I'll switch my valves and I'll take that gallon or to 2 gallons of heavier, and I'll pour it in this trough. I'll take my thermometer and I'll flip it over to this trough. That's one thing you want to remember to do. It's very important. Otherwise you'll be sitting there thinking you're not making syrup. And then also I have these gauges here, temperature gauges, 7 degrees over. So I have those as backup reference, and I'm watching all those. And that really helps with the first draw after reverse. But starting from scratch like this here, you tend to get a really big draw your first time, and that's where I'll say it can get close, because you'll be sitting there drawing and your temperature on draw off will keep rising. So you can see our sap temperature is 45.9. It's not terrible for as warm as it's been and everything, and that's why I like switching to stainless in these dairy tanks. They're insulated, so the sap stays cooler, keeps the sun off them. That's been a big difference in the quality of my syrup too. It's just a lot of these little things this year that I've done that I think is the reason I'm still going, honestly. So we'll try to walk you through all the process. I doubt we're going to reverse the flow today. I really doubt it. I try to do that every 40 gallons of syrup.
roughly. So I doubt we're going to be there today, so we're probably just going to run it all through and draw off this back, and we're going to be calling it. So we're getting close. You can see how clear that is. We got coming right out of the tank. So that tells us how full our tank is outside. We started at 54%. We're down to 41%. So that's coming in through a pump, going right up over. You can see how clear it is coming out of there. Very interested in see how this all goes. So next year this will not be here. So there's our filter. Right now we have it going through the pump up directly into the tank. Otherwise we'd have this being bypassed. That valve would be open and it would be going into over here to our RO. That's off. That one's on. This all has been sold and is going to be getting delivered down to Indiana. So that's pretty cool. None of that will even be there next year, guys. I'm probably closing this off. There'll probably be a wall here over to that. Probably come out. This will all be closed in here. This will be an RO room next year, and there'll probably just be an RO in there. This is going to become the new permeate tank. So there'll be 500 gallons of permeate stored up there. Those here will be gone. All this will be gone. This will be an insulated room with the new RO. So should be pretty good. No, we got visitors coming in. We have visitors.
Fired up.
Man, slave driver. You guys, have you ever done something and regretted it right off the bat? I should have ran my pumps. We just hit the highest sugar content of the season. 1.8. Are you kidding me? It's floating at 2. 1.82. Are you kidding me? All right, so we're here. We got to stoke the fire. We got to light the wood. We got to get it going. Abigail, why don't you do it for the last time for us? Thank you for making the fire. All right, so what's going to happen over here?
It's going to light up and it's going to be really, really bright.
So it turns on and then primes. You get your airflow and then it'll call for ignition. Great job, babe. Great job. So then we come over here, and what we're going to do is going to let it get up to temperature to like 210, and then we'll flip it to high. So once everything gets, so you hear it balanced out, the igniter stays going for that time for the flame, and once this all gets up to temperature at 210, then we'll flip on the high switch. You can see how fast the temperature rises. Already have some steam coming off. So you got to remember, we still have this valve closed, which feeds and keeps the level of the front pan. And then we have the valve that comes into the back pan, we got that at 1.5 inches. Obviously we're not getting any real evaporation rate off of this yet or anything. Right now we're just bringing everything up to temperature. So when we get up to 210, we'll let it sit there for a couple minutes because the back still isn't at 210 obviously yet. There's a lot more volume back there. There's roughly about 200 gallons back there at this point, and there's only about 20 in the front. So when this gets to 210, we usually give it another 5 minutes, then we'll turn on the valves, and then we'll get going, and then we'll come up here and we'll flip this switch right here, which turns on the high flame, and we'll go through that here in a second. Okay, we're 175 degrees over here. Oh, come on. But in the center, you can see we're already starting to boil. You can see about right where that flame's at for the most part. So over here off to the side, we're already at 183. We're obviously still not getting a lot of evaporation rate off or anything. Everything's just kind of staying where it's at. Alright, you can see we're steaming pretty good. Boiling over into this tray now. One thing I like doing is putting hot water in here, and as it comes through, it keeps it warm. And I put my hydrometers in there. It keeps it really nice, keeps the hydrometers nice and clean, so you get accurate readings when you're taking your test, and it keeps it nice and warm. Because usually these will like to get syrup built up on them and everything, and think about that. That syrup built up on there, if you don't clean it, it's keeping it weighted down. This was empty. This is defoamer, so I just put it in there, let the steam kind of come up there and clean it. When you're starting fresh like this, one thing you don't want to forget is your defoamer. You don't want to forget that. It'll bubble up, and you could, maybe I should have added defoamer, and then I could have showed you guys what I was talking about next time. If you don't add defoamer, it'll foam up, it'll just boil, it'll rise up all these bubbles, and you put one drop of that in here and it just goes whoof. It's kind of cool to watch. I probably should have done it that way. Wasn't really thinking about it. So we're at 208. We're boiling in every trough up here. We're steaming back here, so see, we got steam coming up out of this tray. So we're getting close. You can see this isn't, when this starts bouncing up and down in here, it's real turbulent. You know you're up to temperature. You're boiling pretty good. We'll go look in that pan real quick. So this is how the back pan looks. Steaming, starting to move around a little bit. I'll probably grab my scoop, clean that out. I drained this whole thing out. I acid washed the front pan, as you guys can see, but I didn't do the back. So didn't feel it was necessary. I just rinsed it out. I have that little power washer you guys see me take my tanks to. I hooked that up and I just pressure washed it out. Called it good. So, all right, we're getting there. 209. Nice steady boil all the way across. We'll turn this one on now. It's calling for it pretty good, so we've evaporated some off the front pan, but not a whole lot. See that defoamer coming out of there just from the steam? That'll go up into this front pan because it's coming through here like I showed you guys earlier. Not much left in there, just some residual, so I'm just using that as an auto dripper, I guess, at this point. Alrighty. Turn this valve on. I like to do it kind of slow. Alright. We go over here. You flip that, it'll start this, raises up, that's opening just engaged. So this was running 550 and we're already to 700. And we should stop about 775. It'll take a minute to get there, but from 550 to 7, you've seen how long it took. Not very long. We're already going to 750. But these oil burners require a barometric damper. It keeps the pressure and everything stabilized underneath the unit, so your heat isn't just running right through. Everybody thinks that stack temperature, higher the number, the better. Wrong. All you're doing is all your heat's going in and out. You're losing all your BTUs. Lower stack temperature with a big fire and BTUs staying under, it's going up through your pans. So you want to run a stack temperature right around 800. That's really ideal. That's max efficiency for a unit like this. So, and on most units, stack temperature doesn't mean boiling efficiency. Keep that in your memory bank. So, yeah, it's got a little bit of an off smell to it. It's not bad, but it doesn't smell sweet. That's for sure. It just has a, I don't know how to describe this one. A little disappointed. This is the point in time where I was going to be able to tell kind of the syrup we were making. I was really kind of like, fingers crossed, it was going to be something we could bottle, but man, it doesn't smell bad. I don't know. Interesting. I was expecting it to be worse, so I don't know if because I was expecting it to be worse, if I'm like okay, but man, it really doesn't smell bad. Interesting. It definitely don't smell like early season, but it doesn't smell like what I just made last week either. So this is going to be interesting, guys. See it bouncing? I That's how you know she's ripping. Starting to get some color. Alright, about time we go grab the draw-off tank and start getting that thing set up. Alright, so we got her set up. I always go through, make sure valves are open, valves are closed, open, closed. Make sure the valve down there is closed, open. I already did that. Always like to go over. So we're taking out of this bank right now, so I want to make sure that valve's open, because when that's open, it allows it to come through here for the auto draw. And this unit is a lot simpler than a lot of other evaporators now. There's some evaporators now that have like 30 valves on it. That drives me nuts. With my ADHD, I don't think I'd do well with one of those. So I like everything where I stand in one spot and see 1 or 2, 3, 4 valves. Alright, 217.6 today. What I did is I opened my valve manually when it got to like 216. Took like a gallon out, then let it get up, and we just did tests. So it's just done its first draw and it's dropped. So I don't think we're gonna get that big rush out of this batch. Here's what we just made. Obviously this isn't filtered, but it's actually pretty darn light, guys. I mean, not bad. I tasted it. The flavor did not come back. So it's about like what we made the other day. It's definitely lighter for sure, but it has about the same taste. It's not off-putting, but it's metabolized for sure. So it is what it is. Now that I know that, as we get down with the tank, we're gonna start pumping in everything I drained off of the evaporator, since it's the same. So we tried. Makes me feel better about being done. Definitely lightened up a lot. I mean, a lot. That's not filter. I mean, you filter this. This is gonna be pretty looking stuff, but the flavor's not there. It's gonna be great for our barbecue. It really will. You won't notice any of that in the barbecue at all, guaranteed. So it's kind of a blessing, really. Much rather use this type of syrup in the barbecue sauce rather than, you know, stuff that I can bottle. So it's gonna work out. I mean, it's barely, I don't know how to describe it. There's no way to describe it, guys, unless you were here to taste it. It's super smooth. You get the maple, then after the maple comes and it's kind of gone away, your mouth kind of gets dry again. There's just a little bit of a chocolatey flavor to it. So metabolized. The tree is just where it's at. It's not something you can put in a bottle, but it is not going to be able to be traced in a barbecue sauce or something like that at all, guaranteed. So all right, we're finally in the red. We're getting down there. That's how fast we're flowing in, guys. 3.5 gallons a minute. Really slow going.
when you don't RO it. So really slow going. Usually we would have already filled one of these drums by now. So we're looking for an RO for next season. If anybody has a 600, preferably expandable, or a 1200 RO. So if you do, let me know. Give me a call. Alright, so we're winding down everything now up there in the overhead, and we're just over half full with that. So winding down for the year, guys. So what happens is when we get down in the overhead, we lose head pressure when there's, you know, a couple inches in it. So Dom just went down there and pushed the float off and is just letting it come in, because the head pressure gets low and it just trickles in through that. And he's watching for when it goes out. And then what we'll do is we'll watch in here, and then when it gets down to just above the zero, we'll turn the high switch off and let it sit for a second, and then we'll go flip the main switch off, and then we're done. That's one nice plus to having fuel oil, is you can run everything right down to where you want it. Flip the switch, heat's gone. This has all got the heat blanket under it, so it doesn't retain any heat at all. So pretty nice feature, guys. That's one big advantage to fuel oil. How we looking? Alright, so we're at 217.3, 217.2, bouncing back and forth. It's completely out back there. We're watching the sight glass right now. We're probably going to try to get a draw, because once I kill the high, the temperature really drops in this thing. So we're going to try to get one more draw right here. We're watching the back. You can see it bouncing up and down. It's got 1.5 inches in there right now. There's our draw. We're getting our draw. Yeah, I can see we got at least 1.5 inches. 2 inches? Okay. Getting a good draw right here, guys. Right at the end. Alright, so we just flipped the switch. We're bouncing around back there. Now we're going to get this, we're going to take a temperature of this, and then we're going to
refer to our chart over here. Tells us the temperature and what the hydrometer is supposed to read. And we'll get this, we'll do a draw off, and we'll get it exactly to where it needs to be before we put it in the drum. Alright, we just flipped it off. We're back here. Bring it to 0. And we're going to thin this out. Normally, if we were still going for the season, I would have done a draw off into this pail of 1.5 gallons, 2 gallons of this to put in to start up next time. But obviously, we're done, so. Alright, so now we're adding our DE. Dom's pretty hefty on that one there. There you go.
Dos.
So each one of those scoops fills one of these plates. And you want those plates nice and full, because this is actually what filters your syrup, guys, not the paper. The paper just holds this in place. Do half, because I don't know. This stuff looks kind of dirty.
I don't
so
know if 5.5 is in Spanish though.
there you go. That should be good. And then what we'll do is we'll mix this all in here. And then once he gets it mixed, once he gets most of that in, then we'll turn the pump on, and we have the valve open, and it'll recirculate some of it just for a second.
I'm gonna drill like Gary has.
Yeah. We do that just to get everything kind of primed and through and warmed up.
Big clumpies.
I know. Alright, we got her mixed up pretty good. We got the valve on over there, got that closed. This valve's on, and we should be ready to go.
So when you go through, when you close this,
Yep.
you don't bypass. You bypass this too. When you close that valve. So you
Correct.
don't run anything through the press.
Correct.
Oh, you were just getting the pump.
I was just, yep. And then we were mixing, that helps mix the DE. Correct. Alright, here we go. What we do is also, we run everything through and we let it run out, get the press filtered, because sometimes it comes out a little murky at first. So we let the press prime, and then let it come out. Once it starts running out nice and clear, then we'll put it into the drum. There we go, just like that.
Can't spill a drop.
I wouldn't feel as bad about this stuff. And now all we got to worry about is just watching our pressure. We don't want it to get much above 50. We have one of these block off plates. If we need to use it, like we could have put it right here if we wanted and only use those 4 banks, but figured to use the whole press tonight. So it's nice looking stuff, but the flavor is definitely not favorable. But it's really nice looking stuff. Beautiful. You can see Dom through it.